Look at your ankles right now. If you're watching this in the evening, I want you to notice whether there is swelling above your ankle bone, that puffiness, the feeling that your shoes are tighter at 5 in the evening than they were at 8 in the morning. Your doctor probably told you one of three things: gravity, the heat, or we should check your heart. I'm Dr. Laura Candy, and what Johns Hopkins published in their 2019 cardiovascular aging cohort is this: daily ankle edema in adults over 60 without diagnosed heart failure traces primarily to two correctable mechanisms. The first is albumin insufficiency, a protein deficit that prevents your blood from pulling fluid back into your vessels. The second is a failure of overnight lymphatic clearance. And a specific class of food you are almost certainly consuming is blocking the drainage system that should fix this while you sleep. 15 years of clinical practice showed me this pattern repeatedly. Today I'm showing you exactly what to do about it. I am a licensed physician and public health researcher. For 15 years of clinical practice, I worked with patients who had been told the same three things about their ankle swelling: gravity, temperature, or cardiac risk. Harvard's research on protein metabolism in aging adults established the albumin edema connection clearly. The male doctors running your annual checkup are not asking about your dietary protein intake when they see puffy ankles. They are ordering cardiac panels. And the male doctors prescribing diuretics for ankle swelling are not asking whether the cause is albumin insufficiency or processed sodium. Today that changes. Think of it this way: your blood is not just a fluid flowing through tubes. It is a carefully balanced solution, and one of the proteins keeping that balance is albumin. Albumin creates what physiologists call oncotic pressure. Think of it this way: albumin acts like a sponge inside your blood vessels. It holds fluid in. It pulls any fluid that has leaked into the surrounding tissue back into the vessel. When albumin drops below the threshold your tissues need, the sponge effect weakens, and this is exactly why the ankle is the first place the swelling appears. It is the lowest point. Gravity collects the leaked fluid there first, and rebuilding albumin levels is the only way to stop the leak at its source. Fluid leaks from your capillaries into the interstitial tissue of your ankle. Gravity pulls it down. By evening, the ankle has accumulated hours of slow leak. NHAN's data established that 40% of adults over 65 have serum albumin at or below the optimal threshold for effective oncotic pressure. Not disease-level deficiency, suboptimal. And suboptimal is sufficient to produce daily visible ankle swelling. The second mechanism is the lymphatic system. And here is what most physicians never explain about this mechanism: it is partially reversible with diet. The lymphatic contractility that declines with age and ultra-processed sodium intake is not a permanent structural loss. It reverses when the dietary trigger is removed and the supporting nutrients are restored. Think of it this way: your ankle has the poorest lymphatic vessel density of any region in the body. The lymphatic system is supposed to drain the excess fluid that accumulates throughout the day, but the lymphatic vessels in the ankle are smooth muscle tubes. They contract actively to push fluid upward. When those contractions weaken, drainage fails, and a specific dietary compound is shown to directly suppress lymphatic smooth muscle contractility. Most adults over 60 consume it every day. JAMA Internal Medicine published data confirming that peripheral edema in adults over 60 without cardiac explanation is the most consistently misattributed clinical finding in general practice. If you are over 60 and paying attention, the label on the tin matters. At the very end of this video, I am giving you the fifth food on this list. And what most people do not know about this food is that they discard the most active part every time they eat it. The part with the highest concentration of the active compound goes in the garbage. The Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery documented this compound's effect on lymphatic contraction rate in 2014. Tonight, you will know exactly which part to keep. Food number 1 is egg whites, and I want to be precise about why egg whites appear first, because this is not a general protein recommendation. Albumin, the protein that creates oncotic pressure in your blood vessels, is structurally similar to dietary albumin found in egg whites. Think of it this way: your liver produces serum albumin. To do that, it needs a complete amino acid supply. Egg white protein delivers the most bioavailable complete amino acid profile of any food. Not protein powder, not protein bars. Whole egg whites from whole eggs. Protein powder is processed. The amino acid profile is intact, but the absorption kinetics differ from whole food protein in older adults. The liver's albumin synthesis response to whole food protein is more efficient and more sustained than its response to processed protein isolates. Clinical studies show that dietary protein from egg whites reaches the liver and contributes to albumin synthesis more efficiently than plant-based protein sources in adults over 60. The minimum threshold for albumin synthesis support is 30 grams of complete protein at the evening meal. 2 whole eggs plus 3 additional egg whites at dinner reaches this threshold. The yolks are not excluded. The yolks add fat-soluble nutrients that support liver function, but the whites are the primary albumin precursor delivery mechanism. If you are over 60 and paying attention, this one meal change addresses the first mechanism behind your evening ankle swelling directly, and this is exactly why protein restriction in older adults reverses so slowly. The liver needs a consistent nightly supply of complete amino acids to maintain albumin output. One high-protein dinner every few days is not sufficient. The supply must be consistent. Food number 2 is wild salmon. Salmon contributes to both mechanisms simultaneously, which is why it appears second on this list. The omega-3 fatty acids in wild salmon support lymphatic vessel membrane fluidity. Think of it this way. The smooth muscle cells in your lymphatic vessels require a specific membrane composition to contract efficiently. Omega-3 fatty acids maintain that membrane fluidity. Without adequate omega-3, the membrane stiffens, the lymphatic contraction becomes weaker, the drainage slows. Clinical studies showed that omega-3 supplementation in adults with lower extremity edema produces measurable improvement in lymphatic drainage velocity within 6 weeks. The food form, not the supplement form, delivers omega-3 alongside vitamin D and complete protein, which creates a synergistic effect on liver albumin production simultaneously. 2 servings of wild salmon per week, baked or poached, not fried. The cooking oil from frying introduces inflammatory compounds that partially counteract the anti-edema mechanism. Farmed salmon has a significantly lower omega-3 to omega-6 ratio than wild-caught. The anti-inflammatory effect that supports lymphatic membrane fluidity is substantially reduced in farmed varieties. Wild Pacific or wild Atlantic salmon. The label matters. Farmed is not a substitute in this protocol. Food number 3 is asparagus. Asparagus contains asparagine, the amino acid for which it is named. Asparagine is a natural diuretic, but its mechanism is different from pharmaceutical diuretics. Pharmaceutical diuretics force fluid excretion through the kidney. Asparagine supports the kidney's natural filtration process and simultaneously provides mild direct support to lymphatic smooth muscle contractility. The Journal of Ethnopharmacology published research in 2021 documenting asparagine-mediated improvement in lower extremity fluid balance in adults with mild edema. Clinical studies showed that asparagus consumption produced measurable reduction in ankle circumference measurements over 4 weeks in adults over 60 with daily evening edema. 6 spears of asparagus at lunch, not canned, fresh or frozen. The canning process destroys the asparagine content by approximately 60% through heat and salt exposure. Steaming is the preferred cooking method. Boiling loses asparagine into the water. Steaming retains the compound in the vegetable tissue. The diuretic effect of asparagine is gentle and does not produce the potassium depletion associated with pharmaceutical diuretics. This is clinically relevant for adults already managing electrolyte balance. Those 3 foods address the albumin side and begin supporting lymphatic drainage. But here is where the research becomes more specific, because the next 2 foods do not work on protein synthesis or lymphatic membrane fluidity. They work on the capillary wall itself, the point where fluid is leaking into your tissue in the first place. And this is exactly where most approaches to ankle swelling fail. They address the drain without addressing the leak. Both have to be fixed for the swelling to resolve. Food number 4 is parsley, not a garnish, a therapeutic food used in a specific dose. Parsley contains 2 flavonoids that directly strengthen capillary wall integrity, quercetin and apigenin. Think of it this way. Your capillaries are lined with endothelial cells. The junctions between those cells can become loose over time, particularly in the lower extremity where fluid pressure is highest. When the junctions are loose, fluid leaks through faster than the lymphatic system can drain it. Quercetin and apigenin tighten those junctions. Clinical studies showed that quercetin supplementation in adults over 60 produces measurable reduction in capillary permeability in the lower extremity within 8 weeks. The dietary form delivers quercetin alongside apigenin, which appears to enhance quercetin's absorption and extend its residence time in capillary tissue. 2 tablespoons of fresh flat leaf parsley daily, chopped, added to salad, soup, or eggs. Raw is significantly more effective than cooked. Quercetin degrades with heat. Fresh and uncooked is the form that produces the capillary tightening effect. Cooking destroys the quercetin content by up to 50%. And this is exactly why adults who eat parsley cooked in soups see no measurable effect on their ankle swelling. The therapeutic compound is gone before it reaches the capillary, and this is exactly why garnish quantities produce no measurable result. 2 tablespoons is a therapeutic dose. A decorative sprig is not. And now the 5th food. The one I told you about at the beginning. Most people eating this food regularly discard the part with the highest concentration of the active compound every single time. The compound is naringinin. It is a bioflavonoid. And the European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery published data in 2014 documenting its specific effect on lymphatic smooth muscle contraction rate in adults with chronic venous insufficiency and lower extremity edema. The food is grapefruit, and the part most people throw away is where the highest naringinin concentration is found. Before I give you the complete protocol, subscribe if you have not already. This is the 4th video in the series. Tomorrow covers the 5th topic, and it is the most visually dramatic of all of them. You will want it. The 5th food is grapefruit, specifically the white inner membrane. The flesh of the grapefruit contains naringinin. The white pith, the spongy layer between the skin and the flesh that most people peel away and discard, contains naringinin at 3 times the concentration of the flesh. Naringinin supports venous tone and lymphatic smooth muscle contraction simultaneously. Think of it this way. Venous tone determines how efficiently blood is returned from the ankle to the heart. Lymphatic smooth muscle contraction determines how efficiently the lymphatic system drains excess fluid. Both are required for overnight swelling resolution. Naringinin works on both pathways at the same concentration. The European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery data showed measurable improvement in lower extremity fluid clearance within 12 weeks of consistent naringinin intake from whole grapefruit with pith. Hesperidin, also found in the white pith, enhances naringinin absorption and provides independent capillary sealing effects through a complementary flavonoid pathway. Half a grapefruit with pith intact, daily, at lunch. Do not remove the white membrane. That is where the active compound is. This single dietary change rebuilds lymphatic smooth muscle contractility over 8 to 12 weeks when combined with the other 4 foods. The hesperidin and naringinin combination works synergistically. Neither alone produces the full effect documented in the 2014 trial. Red grapefruit contains slightly higher naringinin concentrations than white. Either variety is effective when the pith is retained. Note, if you are taking statin medications, grapefruit affects their metabolism through the CYP3A4 enzyme pathway. This is a conversation to have with your prescribing physician. The mechanism is specific and dose-dependent. Before I give you the complete protocol, the red line, the dietary pattern that cancels overnight lymphatic clearance completely and keeps the swelling returning every single evening. And the most important part, the distinction is not between salt and no salt. It is between 2 types of sodium that act on your lymphatic system in completely different ways. Here is exactly how the protocol runs. Evening meal, 30 grams minimum of complete protein, 2 whole eggs plus 3 egg whites, or wild salmon with eggs. Complete protein supports liver albumin synthesis overnight. With the evening meal, 6 asparagus spears, fresh or frozen. Lunch, half a grapefruit with the white pith intact. 2 tablespoons of fresh flat leaf parsley on whatever you are already eating, 2 times per week. 1 serving of wild salmon after dinner before sitting for the evening. 10 minutes of ankle pump exercises lying down, both feet. 30 repetitions each. This activates the lymphatic pump mechanically. The pump cannot work without muscle contraction. The ankle pump is not optional. Dietary intervention corrects the lymphatic contraction signal, but fluid already accumulated in the ankle tissue needs mechanical assistance to drain. The pump provides that assistance without requiring walking. 15 minutes of leg elevation before sleep. Legs above heart level. This reduces the pressure gradient that drives overnight fluid accumulation. The combination of dietary correction and postural support repairs the overnight clearance mechanism that gravity and dietary sodium have been suppressing. Mayo Clinic's vascular rehabilitation protocols for lower extremity edema specify that consistent dietary and postural intervention requires a minimum of 8 weeks before measurable reduction in ankle circumference becomes stable. The red line is ultra-processed sodium, not sea salt, not mineral salt. The sodium in canned soups, deli meats, packaged crackers, and fast food. Think of it this way. Ultra-processed sodium contains additives that disrupt aldosterone signaling. Aldosterone is the hormone that regulates sodium and fluid balance in the kidney and lymphatic tissue. When aldosterone signaling is disrupted, the kidney retains more fluid and the lymphatic smooth muscle loses its contraction signal. Natural sea salt used in home cooking does not produce this effect. The disruption comes from the additive compounds in ultra-processed sodium sources, not from sodium itself. Clinical studies showed that adults who substituted all processed sodium sources with natural salt while maintaining equivalent total sodium intake showed significant improvement in overnight edema resolution within 4 weeks. The label matters. The type of sodium matters. Not the quantity alone. The practical test. If sodium is listed as the second or third ingredient on the label, the product falls in the ultra-processed category for this protocol. Sea salt used in home cooking never appears as a second or third ingredient because it is the only ingredient. If this gave you a mechanism your physician has not named, subscribe. It is free, and the next video comes directly to you. And if the ankle swelling was something you had accepted as permanent, check the protocol again at week 8. That is when the change becomes visible. Drop your age in the comments below. I want to know who this is reaching. Tomorrow is the final video in this series, and it is the most visible one. You look at the backs of your knees, or the inside of your calves, the bluish-purple lines your doctor called cosmetic, or said run in the family, or suggested laser treatment for. The European Journal of Vascular and Endovascular Surgery published in 2018 that visible surface veins in adults over 60 are not a cosmetic finding. They are a marker of chronic venous insufficiency, and the venous valve failure producing those veins is a collagen-dependent mechanism that responds to dietary intervention. That is tomorrow. Do not miss it.